Hey guys, this is Paco Manel back with episode 3 of Reformat. Reformat is about you and your battle station. This is a show that talks about your setups and ways on how you can further improve it. Episode 3 is interesting because there are quite a few setups featured in this episode that needs a lot of improvement. Remember that Reformat is not a contest about who has the best setups, but rather it's about giving you advice on how to improve your battle station. So anyone can get featured on the show. Don't hesitate to submit as long as you got a setup. Let's get started with episode 3. This first setup is submitted by Coby. He's a computer technician, gamer, and rig enthusiast who's into photography and anime as well.
At first glance, you'll notice his creative and tasteful use of RGB lighting, which really brings his setup to the next level. The color theme of his room complements his lighting setup, which is why it looks so cool. His beautiful tricked out rig is rocking an i5 4460, GTX 1070 and 32GB of RAM. That's a lot of RAM, but I'm sure you need a lot of RAM for video and photo editing, so it's practical given his profession. For his peripherals, he uses a 27-inch 1440p IPS monitor by BenQ, DB audio amplified speakers, Corsair K70 with Cherry Max Browns, Corsair Polaris RGB mousepad, and the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum mouse. Great choice of high quality gaming peripherals here. I'm a big fan of the Logitech G502 mouse and the Corsair K70 keyboard. His setup is ergonomic as well, with the awesome red color for the WinFrag gaming chair lining up to his desk. The only thing I would change would be to maybe add some wallpaper or a fresh coat of paint on the walls to make the whole setup look cleaner. Thank you for submitting your awesome setup, Coby, and I'm sure a lot of us here would love to have a setup like yours.
This next setup is submitted by Ivan. He's a US Army soldier who plays games in a barracks, and he's a tech YouTuber as well. I'll leave the link to his YouTube channel in the description below.
I guess you could say this is a real battle station, given that he designed this setup to be easily carried around and transported on the field. His rig is rocking a Skylake i3 6100 running at 3.7 GHz, GTX 970 and 8GB of DDR4 crucial memory, inside the beautiful and space-saving fractal design Node 202. For his peripherals, he's using the Chroma dimmable mechanical keyboard, Myonix caster mouse, Xbox One controller for Windows, JBL Pebble speakers, and a HyperX Cloud 2 headset. His monitor is the Acer R240HY, which is overclocked to 78Hz refresh rate. Excellent choice of mid-range components here and awesome non-mainstream peripherals, which adds a unique touch. I'm loving the cohesive white color theme, which really ties everything together. I love the fact that he's displaying a white graphics card under his monitor. It really shows that he's a computer and rig building enthusiast. It's amazing how he manages to keep everything clean and tidy given his situation. Overall, an excellent battle station. I really wouldn't change anything other than getting a taller desk and a gaming chair, but I'm sure he constantly moves the setup around anyway. Thank you for submitting your setup, Ivan, and thank you for your service.
This next simple gaming setup is submitted by Vince from the Philippines. He's 22 years old and he loves playing games and building Gundam models.
At first glance, you'll notice his minimal theme, and he's a fan of Kanye West, so that's a big plus for me. I love minimal setups, and I really do believe that less equals more in most cases. His entry-level rig is rocking an i3 3220, GTX 750 Ti, and 8GB of Kingston RAM inside a Silverstone PS11 mid-tower case. For his peripherals, he's using a Genius KB110 keyboard, Logitech G402 and a HyperX mousepad, Creative A60 speakers, and a Samsung E2020 monitor. Definitely a lot of room for improvement in terms of specs, but there's nothing wrong with working with what you have. First thing I would upgrade would be to get an affordable mechanical keyboard or even an affordable K55 RGB membrane keyboard. I'm sure you'll notice a big improvement when you upgrade from the Genius KB110. Next thing I would change is the chair. Getting a For the WinFrag gaming chair with armrests and lumbar support would make your setup look a lot better, and it doesn't really cost that much. Upgrading your chair would also make your setup a lot more ergonomic. I'm liking the industrial theme of the concrete drywall, and I think it would look really awesome when you get some RGB lighting behind your desk and monitor. Overall, a very clean, functional setup, but it definitely needs a lot of work. Thank you for submitting your setup, Vince.
This next setup is submitted by Asher. He's a 30-year-old gamer and tech enthusiast from the Philippines.
First thing that I noticed when taking a look at this setup is that this is a whole lot of green. It's as if his entire room is a green screen. But hey, maybe green is his favorite color. Taking a closer look at this setup, I noticed that this is a great example of how you can improve your battle station by applying the less is more design philosophy. His desk looks quite cluttered, and the theme is kinda all over the place. His mid-range rig is rocking an i5-3470, R9 270X, and his 16GB set of Corsair Vengeance Pro RAM, all inside a Cooler Master 693 case. He painted his RAM and case to color match the look of his rig, which is really cool. First thing I would do to this setup is to take away the misplaced decor hanging above his rig. I'd also keep the hardware boxes because they make your desk look more cluttered. Next, I would change the speaker orientation as I'm sure they don't sound very good hanging underneath your desk. Then, I would get a new desk entirely. Grandma's wooden desk doesn't really match the theme of your otherwise awesome looking rig. I like how he has a separate area for playing games with a controller in big picture mode on the left side. Overall, I think this setup needs a lot of work and can be easily improved by following the tips I discussed. Thank you for submitting your setup, Asher, and I'm looking forward to seeing further renovations and changes because your setup has a lot of potential.
Last but not the least is this setup submitted by Neo. He's a computer engineering college student that loves playing games and building Gundam models.
His rig is rocking an i3-4170, 8GB of Kingston HyperX RAM, and a GTX 1050 Ti inside a Cooler Master RC102 case. For his peripherals, he uses a HyperX Cloud 2 headset, Corsair K70 Rapidfire, SteelSeries Rival 300 White, an Xbox controller, and a Logitech mousepad. He's using a Hyper Beast wallpaper, so I assume he uses his setup to play a lot of CSGO. I like his choice of peripherals and the specs of his rig are decent. The makeshift headphone hanger above his desk is a nice touch. First off, I would get a new chair. I'm sure that monoblock chair isn't comfortable at all. Then I would change your case to something with a side window to show off the internal components given its side orientation. Then I'd get a new desk. Your setup would look 10 times better with a new desk paired with some RGB LED lighting strips. This would look great with your industrial theme, concrete drywall. I would also hide the router as it doesn't need to be visible on top of your rig. Overall, a functional, simple gaming setup with great components, but a lot needs to be done to improve the look and feel of it. Another setup with great potential that can be a lot better after following the tips I discussed. Thank you for submitting your setup, Neo.
There you have it, guys, the 5 setups of Reformat Episode 3. As promised, my favorite setup of this episode will win a Steam wallet code. And my favorite setup is setup number 1 submitted by Coby. I really liked your setup, Coby, so you really deserve it. Message me on Twitter at PacoMinel to claim your prize. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and keep submitting your setups to reformatsetups@gmail.com. As always, I'm your host, Paco Minel, and I'll catch you in a future video.